And New York is set to become the latest state to open the door to medical marijuana as Governor Andrew Cuomo prepares to take executive action to allow some hospitals to dispense it to select patients. This is according to two advocates briefed on the plan. Now, medical marijuana is hardly unprecedented in the United States. You see all the green states here. 20 states plus the District of Columbia now allowed in some form or fashion, among them Colorado, where as of January 1st, it is also legal to sell recreational marijuana to anyone 21 years of age or older. But the talk in New York has sparked fierce debate over legalization, both medicinally and recreationally. HLN's Nancy Grace joins me live. And Nancy Grace, you know, let's just call this big picture. I'm curious, and in your reading and watching all of this last couple of days, do you think legalizing pot for recreational use, do you think that's a good idea?
I think it's a horrible idea. And I speak not only after studying it and reading every shred of scientific and research data out there, but after seeing what it does to people on an everyday level.
How do you mean?
Having in court, when I would prosecute drug cases. Now, I understand that a recreational amount in Colorado, remember, there are only 2 states that allow recreational sale or possession of marijuana, that being Colorado and Washington State, and in Washington State it has not been implemented yet. But what I would see is that people would drop out of work, they would become lethargic. I mean, come on, ask yourself, do you want your cab driver to be high on pot?
But I think
how about your airplane pilot?
I think that's one issue. Hang on, but on the other side, I was talking to a tour operator. Obviously, he was thrilled at the legalization, recreationally speaking, in Colorado specifically, and he would argue, you know, listen, if you do it responsibly, you don't get behind the wheel, you do it in a private, confined space, you do it safely, no harm, no foul.
You
Like
mean
drinking.
a private space like your home where you're supposed to be taking care of your children, or cooking at a gas stove, or lighting a fireplace? You mean that place? Yeah, no, not a good idea.
Okay.
Look, I don't want, when I'm at work, I don't want my babysitter high on pot, all right? Does anybody? Do you want your children? Do you want your parents, your sister, your brother to be taken care of or driven around by somebody on pot because it's okay in Colorado? You know what? Colorado gets what they ask for.
I know people are screaming at the television, agreeing with you,
I'm sure.
and vehemently disagreeing with you.
Hey, look, the ones that are disagreeing are lethargic, sitting on the sofa eating chips.
Oh,
Pot.
that is a blanket statement, Nancy Grace.
There.
Nancy Grace, let me
Yes.
move along. Let me move along from this. This is just your
Fat
opinion.
and
And
lazy.
we wanted your opinion. Let's throw a hypothetical in here because this is something people are curious. Let's say one were to go to Denver and take one of these, you know, 420 tours and smoke pot perfectly legally, recreationally speaking. Let's say a couple weeks later you are driving. You're perfectly fine to drive. You get pulled over for some reason. You do a drug test. You smoke legally. But do you get in trouble still 3 weeks later?
Well, this is going to be the legal issue there if you are impaired. If it can be determined you're still under the influence, not whether you smoked pot a month ago or any other drug a month ago, whether you used it and it may still be in your hair follicles or it may be in your system somehow. The state is going to have to be able to prove that you are impaired. That means walking a straight line. That means answering questions. That means saying the alphabet backwards or count backwards. All of those tests will come into play. And if you are impaired, you need to go to jail.
Okay. The huge concern, children. You're a mom. It's the kid issue. And according to our CNN affiliate, KDVR, there was a 2-year-old girl in Colorado. She is now recovering after she found some sort of marijuana-laced cookie. She's a kid. She ate it. As a mother, if you lived in Colorado, would that be your biggest fear?
My biggest fear would not be my child eating a cookie off the ground. That mom says that the child found the cookie outdoors and must have eaten it, and she didn't realize what was happening. And then at the grocery store, the little girl was lethargic, and she immediately took her to the doctor. She had no idea what had really happened.
Yeah.
And with Colorado legalizing let me just say, recreational use of marijuana, the camel's nose is in the tent. His tail will surely follow. This is the beginning of widespread usage and more than just 1 ounce usage of marijuana. And I don't believe, from what I've seen for 10 years in inner city Atlanta and from being a Fed, that the recreational use of marijuana is a good thing. I don't think it's best for our society.
We'll see how it plays out, Nancy Grace.
I've got a
Your
sneaking
opinion?
suspicion that you are pro-pot, and I don't like
Nancy
it.
Grace. No. I've just talked to so many people in the build-up to this whole thing, and then once it's happened, you know,
I
it's
saw
so
listening to some
fascinating
tour
listening to all
guide
these different
that's
voices.
taking people on a tour of pot houses. Yeah, I don't put any store in that. No,
Nancy Grace, thank you very much as always. Make sure you tune in to watch Nancy on HLN each and every night, 8 o'clock Eastern on HLN.
Bye.
Meantime, do you want to lose weight?